I think collectively, we've all been asking for a young adult dystopian book written by Kendall and Kylie Jenner. That's right, in 2014, at the peak of young adult dystopias, many people were tossing their hats into the ring, and two certainly not well-known people rose up from the quaint city of Calabasas, California, and said, why not us too? Today we're reading Rebels, City of Indra, The Story of Lex and Livia, Kendall and Kylie Jenner's young adult dystopian book. Why did it need 3 titles? That's not the question you need to ask. The real question is, why was it written, period? Hi, my name's Rachel. Today we're discussing Rebels, City of Indra, The Story of Lex and Livia by Kendall and Kylie Jenner, which is a young adult dystopian book published in 2014. This was requested by my patron, Lady Chips. It was between this and Tyra Banks' book, Model Land. I think we can guess that this was barely, if at all, written by these two people. It has another writer, Maya Sloan, who did not return for the sequel, but Maya Sloan has authored other books. I read an article about her. It says that she is a ghostwriter and a teacher, and the quote from the LA Times article about this said, while teaching a beginning novel writing class at NYU's School of Continuing and Professional Studies this spring, she seemed wary of discouraging her students with harsh critiques. This book could have used some. She doesn't have much of an internet presence. There are some photos of her with the Jenners and this book that they allegedly created together. Certainly this is not the same kind of internet presence as Kylie Jenner's other endeavors, like when her lip kit website broke the internet in 2016. Frankly though, I'm really surprised that Simon & Schuster did not pair up Kendall and Kylie Jenner with an author to co-write this book with who has a better internet presence, has a large following of their own, or at least is marketing savvy, or at least is well known for writing young adult dystopians. Because honestly, this book couldn't have been marketed worse. Kendall and Kylie Jenner are not authors. They don't seem to be really big on books, and book marketing is a very particular thing, so just slapping their names on it did not do the book a service. Simon & Schuster sort of collectively shot everyone involved in this book in the foot, because this book's very existence, not the reading of it, because barely anybody in the book community reads it, but the existence of it is collectively seen as a joke. And some of that could have been avoided, some of it could have been avoided just by better marketing, not just slapping the Jenner name on here. If you're an author trying to market, or you have any small business or product you're trying to market, you could probably use a website. Even I have one to market myself. I have made one with the help of today's sponsor, which is Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one website building platform that makes it so easy to have a beautiful and professional looking website of your own for you to talk to your audience, curate your space, and your audience can use it as a hub of all the places to find you or interact with the content you make or the products you make. So whether you're writing blog posts and or selling t-shirts, or maybe you're an editor looking to advertise yourself, or even if you're a beta reader, Squarespace is a great place for you to set up a website and market your skills, whatever it is you want to showcase. I'm really happy with my website. It's readswithrachel.com, and it's a hub where people can find all of my different videos, my socials, find out about my book club, join my book club Discord, fill out a contact form, get some frequently asked questions answered. It was so easy to put this together, and it looks great. Squarespace makes it very easy for you to make a website that is just you. Even if you don't know how to make a website, they have templates that you can use that make it stupidly easy. You just customize it according to your preferences. So whether you're an author, a reviewer, an editor, or you just have a jewelry shop, or you just want to blog. And even if you're not familiar with e-commerce, Squarespace has e-commerce tools and a custom merch service that you can utilize without having to worry about shipping and production. So whatever your online presence or your business is, you can use Squarespace to help you organize it and market it, make your sales, find your audience with a beautiful website of your own. For a free trial, go to squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, use that QR code on the screen, or you can go to squarespace.com/readswithrachel for 10% off your first domain or website. That's squarespace.com/readswithrachel. The link is down below, and thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. So in that article by the author Maya Sloan, it says people are going to want to say I'm a YA author now, but it's not like one day I can't write a literary novel, whatever literary means, she said, as if there are these Greek gods dictating what literature is. None of the students I teach read, even the really smart ones. Oh boy. They read magazines and blogs. Everything is becoming really visual. So I can talk to you about Tolstoy, and I can talk to you about Divergent. I refuse the snobbery. I mean, that's it. I'm not advocating for snobbery personally. I'm just saying that if you have a better chance at writing a better book if you do read. So if this author ever sees this video, which God, I hope not. If she does, she'll likely say that I am also snobby. But here's the thing, this is not a very good book. And it's not bad because it's young adult versus literary. Young adult books are often excellent. Just behind me is one of my favorites, and it's a young adult book. So again, young adult books can be phenomenal books. They're not bad just because they were written for or about teenagers. And it's not a bad book because it was written by a Jenner, which it wasn't really written by a Jenner. It's bad because it's a nothing burger of a book with poor narrative choices and lackluster characters and no real plot arc to speak of. And it's not the first of its kind. I have read a lot of bad dystopian books, young adult dystopian books in particular. In fact, before I joined BookTube, that's the majority of what I was reading. I read and really enjoyed the first Divergent book. They go pretty downhill pretty quickly, but I liked that, dystopian nature of the first book when I read it in I don't know, I want to say that was 2015. And so I started eating up a whole bunch of them. So for instance, before Callie Hart wrote Quicksilver, she went by Frankie Rose and she wrote this really terrible young adult dystopian series that she never finished, by the way. And then I was also reading this pretty bad series called Planet Earth with a U that was written by this husband and wife couple. I was into reading bad dystopians before I joined BookTube. So this is not a new thing for me. Honestly, it kind of feels like going back to my roots. But this book is not bad because it's a young adult, and it's not bad because it's dystopian, and it's not bad because it has the Jenner name on it. It's bad because of the way it was written, and if Maya Sloan doesn't want to take credit for that, that's fine, but it is badly written nonetheless, so let's get into it. Hi, I feel like shit. I have the worst cramps, and I feel like this book is about to make it worse. I normally have a desk chair. I'm in my comfy chair from it's the nursery chair. If you are a breastfeeding mom or breastfeeding parent, you know that you need a comfy chair to sit for hours in your kid's room. This is my nursery chair. Today it's my work chair. And I also have my blankie. All right, let's talk about this nonsense. We have a prologue that is completely irrelevant to the rest of the story. This is a dystopian world, first of all. Climate change has Climate change wreaked havoc upon the earth, and now people live in, it's very the capital versus the districts kind of thing.
This is the land of your people. This is not the land. This is Glendale.
Except the capital, they all live high up, and down in the core of the earth is where the lower class lives. But in the prologue, we have these people who originally, I think, founded the city of Indra, going up through the Earth's core. I don't know. They never come on page again. It was really pointless. And honestly, I forgot that it was here until I opened my notes. I forgot that I had even read a prologue with these people in it. It's basically irrelevant. There was something called the Great Catastrophe, which is, I think, the climate change issue. Anyway, the point is, in chapter 1, we are in Livia's POV. The way this is written is so odd. It has chapter breaks all the time, very randomly. And then later in the book, after our twins Lex and Livia, spoiler alert, they're twins, our twins Lex and Livia meet, the chapters start not only having chapter breaks where you have a chapter break where it's supposed to be cut to commercial, but then also we're breaking in between their narrations. So it's not this chapter is Lex, this chapter is Livia. Suddenly now it's this chapter is Lex and Livia, and we are breaking randomly to intersplice Lex, Livia. The narration choices here were choices. So chapter 1 is in Livia's POV. It says countdown to emergence ball day before. Now, her first chapter was so jarring because she's currently riding her horse, who she can sometimes almost telepathically speak with because she can feel she can feel sentient beings' emotions, kind of. The first line of this book, at least in chapter 1, if you ignore the useless prologue, is, "I'm breaking the rules and I absolutely refuse to care." It's great. She feels like she's virtually a prisoner. She can leave the island but not unsupervised. She lives on an island. She is an heiress. A-I-R-E-S-S. Heiress.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I have to go.
She has to learn all of this stuff for her emergence ball to enter into high society, where then she will be paired off with a dude and they will have precisely one child. This is how all of Indra works, at least high society. She doesn't have parents, of course. She's an orphan. Her father was a scientist who did tremendous things with DNA, like biological research, but she was raised by a few different people, including a governess who is just called Governess. Governess will go to wake me from my rest. She'll be displeased at my unexpected absence, to say the least, with so many tasks yet to be done. Final gown mods, vitamin injections, rosebud cheek infusions. Yeah, this is like a lot of plastic surgery, very, again, Hunger Games capital type shit. Of course, there is something funny to be said about, you know, like rich people doing a lot of plastic surgery and the main character not really wanting to do that. And then the person that this book was modeled after, because Lex and Livia are supposed to be based on Kylie and Kendall. Kylie Jenner is like well known for, I mean, the whole family, you know, it's constantly like tabloids are constantly talking about what plastic surgery they have done. I guess there's some irony there. I don't know. I just don't care. I don't care about talking about plastic surgery in books, and I don't care if celebrities get plastic surgery done. If I had the money, I'd probably do it too. But yeah, she's expected to do plastic surgery, make herself as thin as possible, and also she has to learn the art of fan communication. Fan, like fanning. Yeah, you can communicate things with fans, and she has to learn that because she's high society. An heiress, raised as an orphan though. She doesn't know very much about her parents. There's only so much to tell, only so many stories. I know that she designed her own formal wear and enjoyed berries and chocolate after dining, that she favored the color blue and wore one long braid down her back unless the occasion dictated a more formal updo. I know a great deal about my mother and yet nothing at all. I don't really know much about how all these people who raised her, like her teacher and her governess and all these people, knew her parents. Pretty underdeveloped, but that's basically the whole book. All the while, this is being narrated to us as she's riding around on her horse, not where she's supposed to be, because she's, you know, she wants much more than this heiress life. In a few hours, I will reach my 17th year of life. Tomorrow is my emergence ball. I will have a cohabitant, a spouse. Shortly after, I will be relocated to my cohabitant's island, or, as is done in some cases, he will come to live on Helix, her sky island. And then we will officially, as the Book of Indra tells us, embark upon the journey of becoming proper cohabitated citizens of Indrithian society. Book of Indra is not a religious text. As far as I could tell, it's more of a how society runs book. We don't see much of it. It's just talked about. And we also don't see like who commands that everybody live by it, because the people in charge, we never see them. In fact, I've forgotten who's in charge. Is it like a council? I think so. I don't know. They never come on page. Who's the villain in this? Who's to say? Certainly not the book. This narration choice is meant to make it sound like Livia speaks really proper, and this is done in like a really just overhanded way, like trying to use like the most fanciest version of every word. Whereas in Lex's POV, you'll see that she's an orphan who was raised in the underground society and she was treated like crap and she is angry. And then when they come together, you see like how different their speech is. But that's really the only difference between them, is the words that the author used. There's really nothing else differentiating these people. They don't feel like people, which is a common problem with shitty books. Is half the book's issue is just that the characters feel like fake people when they're supposed to feel like, you know, you open the book and you're like, these people exist to me. That's half the fun of fiction, is like the longing for these people to actually be real so that you could, I don't know, inhabit their world as much as possible. And you feel like somewhere out there they're existing without you, and you long for them. These people are just nonsense. I have cramps. I don't have anything articulate to say today. I'm sorry. So she's like literally riding her horse girl, shaking her hair in the wind and laughing to nobody, and regarding her laughter as highly unbecoming. Proper young women of the new Indrithian society, all of that is capitalized, are happy to practice elocution and become versed in etiquette. Also, there's no flowers or trees. Once flowers even had a scent like perfume. There were far more strains than we have selected to synth. They have synthetic trees and flowers. So it's like the city from Thneedville. Wait, oh Jesus Christ. It's the Thneedville. It's just Thneedville, not the city from Thneedville. So this whole chapter is just her riding on this horse, which you forget until she brings up, trying to dump all of this info on you about her upbringing, what she's about to do, what she's experienced, the world around her. It's very clunky. I'm not normal, I think, or at least I'm not like anyone else. And we're already on to I'm not like other girls.
Maybe I just am funnier and cooler.
She's ignoring her birth in the social stratosphere is what it says. My official welcome into the realm of Indrithian citizens of importance, and I'm off riding my horse Veda. I'm Livia Cosmo, the orphan heiress, living, breathing memorial to the great Armand Cosmo. My father was a true Indrithian of importance. Indrithian of importance is capitalized. I'm the only one who remembers them, and yet I have no memories of them. I'm not sad. I never knew them. You cannot miss something you never had in the first place. Orphans are rare in Upper Indra. Citizens are limited to a single progeny per cohabitation, and horses are not common. Veda is an anomaly. Horses have not existed for centuries, but my father successfully bred them in his labs. So they have not existed for centuries, but they have existed for at least the last 17 years because her father bred them in his labs, so they exist again. So I don't know, it's just a weird way to write it. Veda belonged to my mother, and now she's mine, and she has never run faster. My father was the most famous geneticist of Indra. So they have the people of Indra, so her, and then they have something called middler population, who is trained from birth to serve those of us on the islands. My father had middlers at his beck and call. She has a thing that teaches her called Life Guide, and it says that she has an aptitude for genetics, a gift. I wish to understand the secrets in ourselves, the mystery of the blood that beats within our flesh. We all exist as one, but forever apart. Oh, brother. She doesn't really learn about genetics. She just learns mostly from the Book of Indra. She also learns about her father's work that was important to Indra, such as the EX2 pill. I have taken my daily supplement since I turned 12, as has every other proper young woman. When I am cohabitated, I will discontinue my daily usage, conceive my single offspring, and resume my daily EX2 pill after the birth. So they take a daily birth control pill to prevent being pregnant for the rest of their lives, except for the one time in which they have one child. Which begs the question, what happens if you get pregnant with multiples, which this book does answer, which is, don't do that. That's illegal. That thing that you can't help. Why? Who's to say? Up here in the upmost of upper levels, help me, we have everything we could possibly want for, according to governess. The only middlers I know are the maids appointed to scour the endless white surfaces of the main quarters and the garden crew that reprograms the synth trees to bloom for the new season. Their leaves are gold and orange and red now.
Summer, autumn, winter, and disco.
So she narrates all of this to us, and then it randomly breaks and says, Veda neighs nervously. I'm getting closer to the edge. Keep going, girl, I tell her. And I was like, wait, we're still on the fucking horse? I feel something boiling to the surface of my skin. This part of me I cannot control. This part is not only improper, but something far worse. Dangerous. I fucking doubt it. This book couldn't do something dangerous, even if it grew arms and boiled acid itself. She has a sword, but it's not called a sword. It's called a zinger. I don't know why. And for some reason, she hears a sound, like feedback, but then it's like a song, a melody, and it's coming from her zinger. Oh, yeah, she also has a sword, a teacher for her zinger lesson, but it is called swordmanship and not zingermanship. Also, they all have microchips implanted, and all of their memories are stored in the archives because the High Council, the people in charge, whoever the fuck they are, they don't come on page at all. And there are people who end up, I don't even understand this because it's irrelevant to the rest of the book, but it mentions that there are people that get like turned into shadowed citizens that are rendered voiceless and sentenced to wander the archives for the remainder of their lives. You will know them due to their blank stares and hooded cloak. Okay, aren't they also a shadow? Or I don't know. It's not important. Also, I don't know how these people think they're going to get away with anything when they have a microchip in them that is constantly uploading their memories to an archive, and why they never thought, hey, we should destroy the archive. That seems like, very like rebel shit. And this is called Rebels, but instead the rebels are just like, I don't know, we're hanging out in the basement of the world doing nothing. Chapter 2 we are in Lex's POV, and Lex does not want to go by Lexi. She goes by Lex. She's always been into smashing things and being reckless and destructive since she was a kid. She was in an orphanage in the under part of society, and what was weird about her was she already came pre-named. Normally, society names you, I guess, but since she was, you know, a twin and her parents had to send her off to, you know, end up raised elsewhere, she came pre-named, which somehow they just got away with. So she's raised in an orphanage, and sometimes kids will get disappeared and they end up being taken. Nobody knows what happens to them. I think what ends up happening is they end up getting killed by like mutations, but whatever. The point is, she meets this girl in the orphanage who's older than her named 374, and they try to keep each other alive for, you know, a few pages. Sometimes little kids starve to death. It happened once my first year there, a little boy who didn't wake up in the morning, and caretakers just carted away the husk of his weightless body. So she meets this girl named 374, right? Her name's Samantha, but they go by numbers because they're unwanted orphan underground children, and they're supposed to be raised there until they're 12. But sometimes kids do something called bottoming out. Bottoming out is when you go away and never come back. Like turning 12? Not exactly. It means the orphanage decides to kick you out. Where do they take you? I'm not sure. One day, her friend, Samantha, is not there. And in her cot, a cleansing machine hummed, blowing the cot with a steady stream of antisepticizer. So it's like antibacterial, antiseptic, and hand sanitizer, I guess. It's just meant to sound futuristic.
This is 2019, guys. We're stepping it up.
No matter how many times she reminded me that when she turned 12, she'd be gone, I was shocked Samantha was gone. That's paraphrasing that. That's not the direct quote. She was still 11. She was bottomed out. That's a lie. Anyway, her friend who was there for all of a few paragraphs is suddenly gone. And then when she shows back up later, I'm like, who? Oh yeah, the little girl who was at the orphanage and then wasn't. In chapter 4, also in Lex's POV, not Lexi. She's too cool for that eye. She's in the academy because she's going to be basically a cop. She's going to be a cop.
It's so embarrassing for your life and your soul.
She learns about shadow people. Shadow people are living human beings like us, instructor told us, but they have committed great crimes against Indra. These dark figures, she explained, are forced to wander the archives, unable to interact, voiceless and directionless, destined to live the same scenario over and over. The worse the crime, the more awful their archive prison. The shadow people serve as living reminders to the rest of us. Indra's greatness is to be appreciated through our loyalty. We must follow rules and be proper citizens. They can't be real, I said. Of course they're real, said instructor. Then where are their bodies? Wait, I thought they were wearing cloaks. So what are they wearing the cloaks over if they're not wearing a body? Oh wait, no, so in the archives is not a real, the archives wait, hold on. So the archives, there's like a place where you go and your body's sort of like, what's that terrible book I read? Ready Player One, where your body is one place and then you enter into the archives. If they're in the archives, where are their bodies? How do they eat? How many are there? Are they aware they're being punished? All you need to know is right in front of you. The city of Indra, the island. So we don't get an answer for how the shadow people are still alive. Now, here's my thing. Again, the archives and the fact that the archives are also used as a sort of prison could have been a really interesting rebel thing. If we like take down the archives and free the people who are turned into shadow people and forced to sit inside the archives, God knows where their bodies are, then we can do rebel shit with that. But instead we just don't. I don't know what to tell you. It's a bad book. It confirms that Indra was like part of what used to be America. So there's the city of Indra and then the lower levels below where they are. Terraforming the rotted former world into the great Indra had taken 1,000 years. The founders of Indra had once sought safety below the earth, then built upward in search of water. Just creating the foundations of the city of Indra took centuries. Back in Livia's POV, we rewind time to when she's like probably 11 here, I think, because we're at the countdown to emergence ball 6 years and she turns 17 and that's when the emergence ball happens. So I think she's 11 here. This chapter is dedicated to us learning that part of what they learn in etiquette is to stand on a platform and not fall off, essentially. So it's like a fancy version of bull riding. And of course, she's really good at this. But the narrative decides to make a mean girl in both Livia's POV and Lex's POV. And the one in Livia's POV is Micah, who's mad that Livia did good on the platform. Why was this necessary? It's not.
There's people that are dying.
Don't lie to yourself. In that moment, she chose to despise me. I had a sudden revelation. I could be like the others. I could try to be like the others, but I would never succeed because she's an orphan. She's so differently different. Back in Lex's POV, not Lexi. Be industrious, be vigilant, behave. It was upon these principles that all cadets were molded. Be industrious. We woke promptly and groomed before morning rations. We attended 2 block classes. We were given an hour's rec time, blah, blah, blah. Basically, she's in cadet school to be a cop. She's basically a peacekeeper from the, Hunger Games. And she also has this girl who has it out for her, just like Livia does, except her bully is Cassina. Cassina was sure I'd been an academy mistake. They talked about where they thought she might have come from, and Cassina says, in a brothel. Her mom was like a prostitute, a mudtown brothel, dirt walls, dirt on her back and knees. Can you imagine? That's what happens when they recruit from outside Indra. It looks bad for the academy. For all of us, she's an experiment, and it's not gonna work. Just wait and see. They do hear that rebels are attacking. I don't know what the rebels' ultimate plan is, but Lex hates the rebels. Why? I don't know. She just really doesn't want to be called one. And often Cassina, the bully, will be like accusing people of being a rebel. So she accuses this girl whose name is Vippy of being a rebel. Back off, I told Cassina. Of course a dirt girl like you would be too high-minded not to jump to conclusions. If that whole zone was rebels, do you think PCF, the academy, would have imprisoned them by now? Or don't you think? Who would allow Vippy to even be here if that were true? You're a rebel. At least we all know it now. If you ever call me that again, Lex says, you will see just how rebellious I can get.
It infuriates me. Like, I literally want to kill her.
Cringe! Lex is really mean to Vippy and is like, on your life, you better not be a rebel, because she hates the rebels. She's on her way to do her final exam, where her final exam is basically just terrorizing the lower class and killing a bunch of people, I think. I think they killed them. Anyway, she has a friend named Kane, a friend who she's attracted to. He's a dude. And sometimes they go into the weapons armory and take drugs, essentially. They're called boosters.
You both are wasted and I'm not.
Yeah, why aren't you?
I don't know.
And he has some sort of device where he can make paintings with sound, and also he makes sculptures from wreckage. I, for some reason, just super imagined him as that one guy from Victorious. Never even watched that show, but I know who he is. Natalie has a review coming of his poetry book that is hilarious. Anyway, so they're taking drugs that are called boosters. Boosters make everything better. I never realized how fascinating the ceiling is. I can't believe you just walked into the medical unit and took them, I say. My voice sounds far away, like it belongs to another Lex entirely. Oh, maybe one that spells it with an I. Boosters have all kinds of medical and tactical uses, but the bright pink ones made us laugh for hours about the stupidest things.
It's not funny. Get out if you're gonna continue to laugh and make fun of me. I'm tired of it. I'm not.
I start laughing at Kim when she's crying because I just can't help it.
The yellows made me so relaxed, I can melt into the steel floor like it's a feather sleeper. But the ones he handed me down were different. Medical boosters, I realized, were far more powerful. They took sensory boosters. What do you think they used them for? Maybe on missions, I guess. To hear enemies miles away? To smell out explosives? Oh, and it mentions that Lex also has a power, some sort of like sensory power, similar to Livia. Both of these are completely irrelevant to the story, so I don't even feel the need to talk about it. But don't forget that their dad was a geneticist who did some stuff to their DNA, so they have powers that are irrelevant. Pretty soon we'll be running the final simulation, their final test, where they have to go kill a bunch of the lower class, essentially. And then we'll be out there doing something for real, taking out real enemies, finding real rock bottom scabs, punishing them, decimating them. They just really fucking hate the people in the lower class. So during the final simulation, her bully tries to like sabotage them, even though it would also sabotage her chances at getting like a good position. But she just really hates Lex that much. But then they take out a bunch of people. I think they killed a bunch of people, but I guess it doesn't matter because they're lower class. And then in the end, she's done this thing with Kane, her friend, who she wants to kiss her and she did a bunch of drugs with, and he does sound paintings. And in the end, the more important people from PCF, the peacekeepers essentially, showed up and they were like, well done, Kane. Lex, I couldn't tell you. I took an oath. I couldn't tell anyone. I got my placement already. What? I can't tell you more. I've been doing it for a while. That's where you've been? Yes, he says. I wanted to tell you more than anything. Wrap it up, cadet, says the lead officer. But we're going to meet as planned in 2 weeks, same as before. So they're going to plan to meet in the archives in one of his memories. He reaches for me and pulls me in tightly and kisses me. Kane, why did you? Because I wanted my first kiss to be with someone I actually cared about. That's enough, the lead officer says. And then he walks up and says, Agent Kane, reporting for duty, sir. He sounds like a man, I think. So they turn to her and say, all that said, graduate, you've shown remarkable skill today. Unexpected circumstances, unique aptitude, unprecedented ability. And so they sent her to Special Operations of the Rock Bottom Patrol. All you need to know about Chapter 11 is that there's a piece where it says, I feel my eyeballs expanding. Are you a fucking anime character? This is so ridiculous. Back in Livia's POV, it's the day of her emergence ball, the day she's supposed to find a cohabitant, a spouse, and then go into high society, have her one child, and then live out her life as a rich mom of one child. A guy walks in, well, multiple guys walk in, and she's like dancing with them. She's like, I don't even want to be here. All these dudes I want much more than this rich person life.
Kendall, you have to think about what you're asking for because money doesn't grow on trees.
Yes, it does. It's paper.
And then a guy walks in and he is super cute and he's like, you don't even want to be here, do you? And she's like, how does he know? Is he real? Did I dream him up? They go outside together, which is improper. Funny, but you remind me a lot of someone. Then why are you here with me? He wants to kiss me, I think, and I want to let him. The word is there again, flashing in my mind. Prohibited. I'm sick of prohibited. Prohibited from leaving the island. Prohibited from asking questions. Prohibited from fighting or laughing too loud or even breathing in a natural manner. He's about to kiss her and he says, I can't do this. He starts backing away from her and she's like, I'm gonna do what I want. And so she kisses him and then he pushes something into her mouth with his tongue, not spit. It rolls into my mouth and now he's pulled away, his eyes widening with horror. Mine must be doing the same. Whatever it is, it's caught at the back of my throat and I feel like I might choke.
You okay?
I was just choking.
Spit it out, he says. I changed my mind. I don't want to go through with it. But then you kissed me. She reaches for her zinger, her sword. It's not there. Hardly debut appropriate. Start making sense, she says. I'm so sorry to spoil your special day. His palms clutch his temples. Did you just try to kill me? And then he gets come upon by the cops and beaten. He gets the shit kicked out of him. Over back in Rock Bottom, Lex is shown this by her bully, Cassina. Okay. There's no audio, and Cassina's like, Kane trespassed, impersonated a proper young man, and then attempted to assassinate that debutee, but he failed. Kane's not a killer, Lex says, not for lack of trying. And PCF, were they trying to kill him? Is it normal for them to attend fancy balls? Lex says, of course. Do you know what would have happened if they weren't there? Anyway, for some reason, her, Cassina's father is involved in this. She's like, he saved Livia Cosmo's life. No way Kane was acting alone. He told me he had a secret assignment, but who gave the orders? I still don't know, and neither does he. Why kill her? She's crazy, perhaps, but not old enough to be an enemy of the Andrithian state. I don't know. I don't know who any of the players are in this, to be honest with you. I know how you feel about me, and I hate you even more, says Cassina. But you're the only one who can help him. I'd do it, but that's not possible in my position. Everyone knows me, but no one thinks twice about She doesn't dare call me that again. People think twice after they get roughed up. You're still in love with him, I say. So basically they're fighting over this boy who is literally just a guy. He was sent to assassinate her, but I'm not sure why. Assassinate and Kane? Those words don't go together. She's like, they put Kane on a rig near her island. They were careful to block out parts of his memory. That way he could observe her, get to know her habits, then attend her ball. So Lex asks her about the girl that Kane kissed, Livia. Livia? I told you already, there's not much to know. Upper born and raised, she sticks to herself, reclusive. She was never like the rest of us. I mean, what do you expect? After all, she just ... What? ? Question mark. I don't know much else, Cassina says. Just shut up then and let me think. This might be the most poorly written conversation I've ever seen. So Lex is like, all right, I'm gonna go after the girl Livia and she will lead me to Kane. Kane needs me. I tell myself, this is what I need to find Livia Cosmo, make that conniving air girl suffer. The fuck did she do to you?
What is up your ass?
She almost died, damn. So she goes AWOL. Cassina even gives her some of her own DNA so that she can like get up to the surface. This is so dumb. And then we're back in Livia's POV and she's basically like under lockdown and Helix Island, her home, is as tainted as my legacy. I've come to understand I'll be one of those women who never cohabitate. A free thinker, which is a polite way to say outcast.
You stop taking pictures of yourself, your sister's going to jail.
They're rarely seen in public, succumbing to a life of seclusion, destined to pay and loneliness for their lack of options. No one chooses to be a free thinker. And they're like, well, we have one other option for you. There's a young man, which is capitalized, with a small estate. Looks promising. His pastime is fencing. I've been told he's rather nice in disposition. Nice, I know, means a stutter or a chronic odor, or even a more serious deficiency. But even those young men won't agree to me, avoiding me like a genetic flaw.
You are so gross.
That feels icky. But she's still thinking about kissing Kane. I chastised myself. He tried to kill you, but yet he changed his mind. So Lex gets up to the surface, strolls on in somehow to Helix Island, gets Livia in a fucking headlock. Within seconds, I've got her in a stranglehold.
Stop. You guys, stop it!
She's waiting for me, and then page break. Within seconds, I've got her in a stranglehold. And I'm like, why is there a page break here? Is this a fucking commercial slot? There were so many of those. Anyway, she says, tell me where they took him, air bitch. Air bitch. Wife of Airbud. Tell me where they took Kane or I'm gonna... I don't get to finish. She's reached for something on her back. A sword!
And she smacked me, not she like smacked me or something, and so I came back at her and smacked her in the face, and then she took her heel and put it into my neck.
Pointed at my neck. She's got a sword and it's singing. You, she says, are in desperate need of an etiquette lesson. What a weird way to end a chapter. So Livia... It like really leans into the Livia speaks proper as soon as she meets Lex. You would do well to compose yourself, perhaps take a deep breath first, and then we might have a rational... And then it switches back and forth between their POVs, and Lex is like, mental note, kick Air Girl's ass, and then Cassina's, because Cassina didn't give her all the information, or she gave her incorrect information. They get into what is an ungodly long fight scene.
I don't know, we kind of got in a fight about it.
I believe it's safe to conclude that you don't adhere to the standard social graces. Where is he? Lex says. Who? I'm thinking she means Kane, Livia thinks. Kane, she says. Wow, this writing is so good. And how exactly would I have such information? Tell me where he is, Lex says. And supposing I was privy to knowledge of this young man's location. Kane, his name is Kane. This Kane's elusive whereabouts. Why would I choose to share that information, especially with you? Because he might die and you'll be a murderer. He came to kill me, not the other way around. I saw everything. How? The archives, Air Girl, taken from his memory. I saw every single second. Again, this whole thing, I'm summarizing it for you. We switch back in their POVs in this chapter, back, forth, for no reason. And it's going on for forever. And then finally, they see that both of them have this mark in their eye, tiny as mine, in the same spot on her iris. We have the same marking. Her eyes are different, just like mine. That small neon shape. Neon shape? What shape is it? Anyway, glowing a light greenish, practically invisible, even if you were looking for it. When you find her, you will know who she is. And they both hear these words in their brain, and it's a man's voice. How do you know what I was thinking? I ask. I heard you. It was inside my head. Those words, they weren't mine. It was some other voice, a man's voice. I heard him as well. Who is he? I asked. She is as freaked out as I am. The cops are like, you're under arrest on order of the Independent High Council.
You stop taking pictures of yourself, your sister's going to jail.
And Livia, Air Girl, heiress, is like, I see my future, enslaved to this monotonous system, death by politeness. And so they concoct a plan on the spot to like look like they're fighting and then run off together, essentially. And then they get on her horse, except Lex says, horses are extinct.
Is that a chicken?
Then don't get on, Livia says. They're not extinct. They've been around for at least 20 years again at this point. You guys just don't have horses in the rock bottom area. So then they go on the horse for a little bit until they don't. And then Livia's like, don't worry, horse. I'll see you again. I promise. The horse hangs its head. Crying? Creepy, I think, says Lex. And then they leap over the edge of the island. They end up swept up by some young man. Never have I seen a vision so beauteous as women diving from the sky. He's around my age, yet smiles in a boyish way. Well, he's 17, so yeah. His sleeves are ripped from his uniform, revealing bare arms. Scandal. We are definitely no longer on Helix. Proper young men maintain discreet attire, their flesh fully concealed, even when engaging in vigorous leisure pastimes. Then again, they also don't have RIGGER stamped across the blue fabric on their chests. I'm not going to say that word because it sounds way too close to a slur. I'm not doing it. So I'm just going to call them rigmen. They rig things. They do rigging. The islands have so many beautiful women now, they're just throwing them away. Anyway, they find out that the PCF, the cops, are after them. So they stay on a rig because there are rigs like just below Indra that serve as havens for the dregs of Indra. Like the bottom of the barrel people live on rigs. They meet a guy named Hep who's like, where'd they take Kane? And Livia says the independent high council. And Lex is basically like, what the fuck? You said you didn't know where he was. The hickey rigmen aren't even allowed in Indra. You knew where Kane was all this time. Of course. Then why didn't you tell me? Perhaps because you were trying to kill me. She explains, I did try to help him, but the PCF, the cops, wouldn't listen to me. So then Hep, this guy who was nice to them for all of 5 seconds, is like, all right, the PCF's coming, the ground's shaking, we can feel them, they're on their way. Meanwhile, Lex is realizing that the memory she saw in the archive wasn't real, it was tampered with. Things were cut up or rearranged, and it was Cassina who did it. Nothing ever comes of this, we never see Cassina again, who fucking cares? Hep hides them and says, remember this, Lex, we live for a while and then we die. Can't stop either when the time comes, so no use worrying about it. That's the same for everyone, even the outside of the outsiders. People like us. If that was supposed to be deep, it is as shallow as a plate. So while they're just sitting there hiding, waiting, they're like, why would Kane be ordered to kill Livia? What was the point of this? Who would send him? They're getting annoyed that they're waiting so long. Livia says patience is a virtue, and Lex says, a virtue that sucks. I decide I hate her again.
It's disgusting to be related to you.
So they see some of the cops and they see that they have cameras on their head. And it says, it's standard to run video feed on every op and send it to the IHC, so don't let them see you. And I'm like, wait, why do you need this when you guys have the chips that send everything to the archive? Hep comes to save them and says, let them be, let us be. You can't control everything, even if you think you can. We can't be controlled by you. This world is changing and there's no place. The bark of a blaster, and Hep falls where he stands. The bark of a blaster? Also, this guy was literally in one chapter. So if this was supposed to hit, like, oh no, a guy who was nice to them for 5 paragraphs died, how emotionally traumatizing.
She has this ugly crying face that she makes.
You're sitting there laughing. It's not funny.
They get away from this, and then Lex starts to think about how upset she is that the PCF turned on her when she was always loyal and all she ever did was shit on the rebels. Anyway, they save Kane from wherever the fuck he was. I don't even recall, to be honest with you. He has like internal bleeding. Livia can tell because she is an empath or something. I was sent to kill you, he says, but I couldn't go through with it. I had the tablet ready. All I had to do was kiss you. And I kissed you instead. Couldn't have hurt you, Livia. I couldn't hurt anyone, but especially not you. Not with how I feel about. I'm like, you don't even know each other. I don't understand. Who sent you after me? I have no idea, he says. I wish I knew. I'd go after them myself. I was taking orders. For that reason alone, I might never forgive you, she says. Lex runs into a girl that she knew from PCF, and she helps them get out. And she's like, I'm a rebel. I've always been a rebel. And Lex is like, ew, I hate rebels. Still, for some reason. Oh, it's Vippy. It's the girl she said you better fucking not be a rebel to earlier. She was, in fact, a rebel. And they're like, you are going to be in just as much trouble whether or not you want to call yourself a rebel. What do you think they're going to call you? She's like, I just came to save my friend. But Vespinia was so nice to me, and If she's a rebel, then perhaps I don't know everything there is to know. And I'm like, what has hating rebels ever gotten you? They meet the leader of the rebels, whose name is Xavier, and he's like, I was a friend to your mom. I made her a promise a long time ago that I would keep you safe, and it's taken me far too long to keep my word. And Lex is like, I don't believe this guy. He just wants to control us like everybody else. And Livia's like, no, I can sense things, and I can sense he's not lying. And she takes Lex's hand, and it says, that she lets me, I cannot reason why. The shell has broken. And I'm like, is this supposed to be like sisterly? Like this is them bonding? This is, again, more shallow than a plate. This is about as much depth as a piece of paper. And so they agree to work with the rebels, and it says, let's get moving, rebel scum. Wow, great. So Livia's like, okay, you knew my mother. She was your friend. I've never met one who would match that claim. I did not think they existed any longer. And Xavier says, they do, as long as I live and breathe. He looks at Lex. I knew your mother as well. I do not have a mother, Lex says. You do. In fact, you share the same one. In fact, that is not all you share. The flaw in each of our eyes that shouldn't exist but somehow does, how we mirror each other, not in exact appearance or attitude, but with our resolve. For almost 18 years, we have fought through life only to be rewarded of the promise of more fighting to come. You share your birthday, he says. Twins. And then it says an excerpt from the Book of Indra where it says, the law of twins as ordered by Independent High Council of Indra is hereby that women are prohibited from giving birth to more than one child. Yes. That is certainly something we can control. Women are required to take the government-issued EX2 pill to prevent the conception of twins. Failure to comply in said law will result in immediate banishment of both parental cohabitants as well as prompt seizure of offspring. Following seizure, the Independent High Council will determine the twin they deem of greater use to society. The twin deemed not such will be forfeited immediately to government holding for further tests. And that is what happened to Lex. I was the twin they killed. I was sent to the orphanage. Did you know that? I didn't even know you existed until today, Olivia says. An orphanage, you understand? Fighting just to eat. I had one uniform, one tiny bed. I was a number. Do you get that? Somehow I survived, convinced them I was worthy. And I did it without an etiquette tutor or a master or a governess. And Livia's like, you don't know anything except your anger. We are worlds apart once again. This is why the upper and lower levels will never coexist.
I mean, maybe that's why we're fighting over something so stupid, but sisters.
This is so stupid. They should have picked you. You got everything. You had an island and people to do every last thing you said, and I was just 242. That was her orphan number. No one understands you, Lex. Is that to be the correct assumption? Livia says. No one else has ever had to suffer. You were given a number, and for that I apologize, yet you were trained to do something that matters, and I was told to be quiet and look pretty.
Do you know how to do your own laundry?
No.
I was cinched up and spun on a pedestal, literally, until I was regarded as having no flaws. You see, Lex, you are half right. I did have everything and absolutely nothing. And Lex says, and everything I had meant absolutely nothing. So they descend into rock bottom with the other rebels. There's a guy named Roscoe, and they meet up with a girl, and she's like, Lex, I know you don't remember me. I'm 374, and I also go by Samantha. The rebels explain that they have a chip in their brains also. Is that different than the other chip? Anyway, but they explain the chip also monitors your whereabouts. So why this hasn't been taken out already, I have no fucking clue. This is how the PCF knew where to find us. How would we have escaped? Why the time lag in locating us? And they're like, maybe it's because it's due to like your unique DNA, your psychological makeup and brain functions, but they found us nonetheless. Even with your curious genetics and the distance we place between ourselves and Indra, eventually you will be discovered and then they'll come for you. We cannot risk going any farther toward our headquarters until it's removed, and we're prepared to do that just here. Kane apparently is the only person who knows how to take them out. I don't fucking know. Samantha's 374 is like, yeah, I was always disappearing because I was a rebel the whole time. Well, anyway, within 2 chapters, they get attacked by mutations, which is, I guess, where all the orphans ended up, and Samantha dies. So we just kill off another person that's supposed to matter. And all of these like orphans that Samantha also took care of were like, we'll take care of her body. They all have genetic flaws. One is missing an eye. A ruby scar winds the bridge of another's nose to the side of her neck. They have misshapen teeth in their cracked mouths, and one has a cleft palate. Freckles, birthmarks, more than I can count. In the islands, this is all cosmetic work. But these guys never had access to that tech. They wouldn't have lasted a day in the orphanage. In fact, they probably didn't. Maybe they were sent back here just like Samantha. Maybe they never got to leave leave in the first place. Okay, anyway. Don't cry anymore. She wouldn't have wanted that, Lex, says one of them. How did you know my name? Samantha told us you were coming, that you'd be able to help us more than she could ever hope to. I'm like, what? How? How would Samantha know such a thing? They find out that the idea that Indra has clean burning fuel, which is apparently a thing that I was supposed to know and did not know. The idea that there's clean burning fuel from Indra is a lie. Radioactive materials have been banned since the Great Catastrophe. And they're like, yeah, no, there's a lot of chemical contamination and toxic waste. Where do you think Indra sends it? Every day, more are corrupted and babies are born with defects. Your air might be clean up there, but the core is getting hotter. The earth's just dying from the inside now. That way you can't see it as good from up in the air. It's time for you to stop thinking about yourself for once. And Livia's like, I didn't know. Anything undesirable goes down here, and the people who live there, or who live here, they matter even less. That, citizen of the great and honorable Indra, is the gift you've given us. Xavier, one of the rebels, says that Samantha was actually his sister, which is illegal. And he's like, this is rock bottom. Nothing's illegal. There's no EX2 pill here. And I'm like, wait, so the evil dystopian government who regulates the births of their own class sends the unwanted excess people down below and lets them have unregulated births. Normally, when people want to control other people, the first thing they do is take away their ability to reproduce. I mean, one of the first things they do. If they're doing it to their own people, I don't really know why they wouldn't do that to the people that they're subjugating. Some siblings even have different fathers or mothers, and some are just left on their own. There's no book of Indra telling us what to do. We already know what to do, survive. So they're finally coming to terms with the fact that they are sisters. I've never known anyone who has a sister or a brother. How these relationships are managed have never been illustrated for me. The depth of the bond and what our obligations to each other are cannot be anticipated. However, now I can see that protectiveness is one of them. They're still having an issue where they're both attracted to Cain.
I feel fine. I just cry myself to sleep every night.
Yeah, that's totally normal.
I held his hand, and if she were not there, I would have done more. She's my sister, but she won't dictate my actions. I have spent a lifetime having others tell me how to live, and now that lifetime is over. I feel Cain's eyes on me. I'm not shy about looking at him either. However, it's hard to ignore Lex at this very moment. Is this a good time? Is this really a good time to be having like feelings for somebody else? I mean, couldn't we just maybe not? Couldn't we maybe think about this later after we're not dealing with an evil government? And, you know, having our entire lives ripped out from under us? Lex glares at me. Let her do that all she wants. It won't change a thing about how I feel or what I want.
Maybe if you had a business that you were passionate about, then you would know what it takes to run a business, but you don't.
I take one last look at Cain. His lip curls into a smile. Improper. Most improper. Some things are better down here. So then the rebels show them somehow video footage of their parents. And it shows that their parents were basically like, their mom wanted to have a child and she couldn't. And so their dad did some genetic shit until their mom could get pregnant. But getting pregnant ended up she was pregnant with twins, and then in the end she was like, I'm going to leave, and she just abandoned her kids. I could not live if they had not. Besides, I should have left long ago. I hate this place, Indra. You can ignore the truth for only so long. We were never meant to be up here. The founders did us all a disservice. It's not safe out there, their father says. Not yet, because we stopped trying to make it so. Imagine if you turned your mind to making that possible. Well, then our daughters would not exist. You cannot have everything. That doesn't mean that we should stop trying. We owe the world to them. We must try to ensure that it welcomes them when the time comes. Where will you go? He asked. I'm not sure. My mother has told me all my life that we're descendants of the founders, that the blood of Atros is also mine and my children's. But now I know his mistakes are ours as well. I will survive. Do not fear. I wish I was that certain about you. She gives him a goodbye kiss and then leaves. She left Livia sleeping at the base of her air harp, an air harp. She couldn't take either of you. She knew that if she was found out, one of you wouldn't have survived. That was not an acceptable risk. Then why have these kids? I don't understand. And the imprint our father gave us both, he like literally imprinted that shape onto their eyeball. Why would he do that?
Now my dad's gone way too far. He's thinking more about the security than my actual birthday.
Only he and your mother have that answer. Great, so we'll never know. They were supposed to receive their father's research and then it wasn't given to them. They're like, why did he create the birth control pill? To preserve Indra. But your father realized his mistake. Your father paid for his foolishness. We have all made mistakes mistakes that haunt us. Your mother refused to abort the embryos and insisted upon bringing the babies to term. She and your father only had one choice. She was a wise woman, Delphia. I miss her every day. And so they assume at this point, our mother is dead, and she has been dead for a very long time. Lex thinks to herself. They don't know what happened to their dad. He just disappeared. You are special, Lex and Livia. And even before you were born, Delphia already had a sense that you would be special, very special. Special, special, special. And for that fact, your mother was eternally thankful. The injections that caused their mother to be pregnant, they changed us. I do not know if that is what he intended, but I suspect you are correct. He knew you would have to survive on your own. What? Perhaps the injections were an influence, but they were only part of what makes you two so special. There is far more to your uniqueness than a twist of your genetics. Livia and I are against the law. We have these weird capabilities. Gifts, says the rebel. We are freaks. End of story. There's also the matter of destiny, he says. Your destinies, to be exact. Well, yeah, that was implied. To the core with your destiny, Lex says. Destined to be outcasts, perhaps. And you are destined to search for another set of saviors. Let's go, she says. It is said that a pair of twins shaped the world into what it is. Andrew and Atros, two of the founders were twins, your ancestors. So some were taught, and yes, I am one who believes them, that twins will come again to unite our worlds the way they're supposed to be. Since the lower levels came into existence, every child, on the day they are born, is told that one day twins will arrive below in their 17th year. And do what? Asked Lex. Lead us out of Indra. Leave Indra. We'll burn to a crisp. Everyone knows that. The Earth is uninhabitable. That's why we came here in the first place. Not the entire Earth, just the area bordering Indra. Some have already escaped the outlands. How come more don't flee? The journey is hard, but there's a tunnel. It comes up right past the irradiated area. Of course there is. With your help, Lex and Livia, we will take back all of Indra. Upper and lower. I don't want to rule Indra, Lex says. Me either, Livia agrees. Then return it to its people. That is Corlo crazy. Oh, I forgot to tell you that they have slang in this. So if something is like, instead of saying you're fucking crazy, they say you're core, C-O-R-E, low, crazy. If something is super awesome, they call it strato. Like stratosphere. But Livia's like, we can do it. I feel it. And then they're under attack again. They ask him, what if we choose not to be chosen? Roscoe the rebel says, I do not think you will choose not to be chosen. For the simple fact that your mother is out there and she's waiting for you. I don't know why they just assumed that their mom was dead before and they said it so matter-of-factly, but she's not dead. So great. In the epilogue, it switches between Livia and Lex more than ever before, just line after line is different. Lex, Livia, Lex, Livia. The rebels are off fighting. Meanwhile, Lex, Livia, and Kane, this boy that they're fighting over, are gonna dip so that they can get out of here and then be these assumedly prophesied twins. The resistance won't stand forever. PCF won't stop hunting us, but I will try, and even if I know there's no peace to be found, she's like a very negative person, I guess, whereas Livia's more upbeat. And, her happy life made her a little bit more optimistic, or whatever shallowness this book is doing. Xavier, the guy who was the brother of Samantha, who was an orphan, who was in this book for 8 paragraphs, says to Lex, promise me you won't make rash decisions. Work with the team. Promise me, Lex, you won't do anything crazy. He's asking me for promises I can't keep. He has none of his sister's charm or understanding. He's a blunt force with the hands of a surgeon, I guess. I can try, Xavier. That's all I can do. He stares at me. Then, just for a second, he does something I don't think I've seen him do. He smiles. I smile back. No promises I won't kill him. And I'm like, oh, is he getting introduced as the other love interest so that Kane can end up with Livia? I guess. So then they go to the entrance to the tunnel. The entrance to the tunnel, I think, is this where our ancestors first tried to forge out of Lower Indra? And it is now the beginning of everything else. And then it switches to Lex and Livia Cosmo. Ready? And it doesn't tell you which is saying which. Ready? Yes. Are you? I hope. We reach out in the dark and grasp hands. Together, we move toward the light. The acknowledgments from Kendall and Kylie, there's Kendall and Kylie's acknowledgments, and then Elizabeth Kilman Roman's acknowledgments, which I don't think was an author of this book. I don't know who that is. And then it says everyone's acknowledgments. So Maya Sloan doesn't even get to write her own acknowledgments. It says, to our co-writer Maya Sloan for taking the leap of faith with us. Your tenacious and creative spirit truly helped make our story come to life. What? Kendall and Kylie's acknowledgments specifically say, though, we want to thank our entire big family for always being so supportive, especially our mom, the most amazing momager ever. You make all of our dreams come true. If this is a dream coming true, this makes me very sad. This could have at least been a 3-star if we had, like, one of my favorite tropes is the decoy trope. I think we should have gotten rid of Cain, and what we should have done is make Livia some sort of problem to the government, and they decide to put a stand-in in her place that they can control by way of Lex. But instead, something happens that these girls are thrust into a situation where they're working together, and the whole thing is Lex finally saw this as her chance to be in an affluent position, and now Livia is taken from her affluent position and put into a position of being treated like shit for the first time ever, and now both of them feel like they've had the rug pulled out from under them. Meanwhile, the rebels, somehow, we'd have to, you know, do some shit to make this work, but essentially we could have made it so the whole thing is they have to take down the archives. And maybe Livia could have been, you know, doing like secret geneticist work. That's maybe why the government wants her replaced by a body double that they can control. And then they work with the rebels to take down the archives and free the shadow people, yada yada. Instead, we didn't do a plot. We just revealed, hey, these two people are twins and they're going to go and maybe take over the government eventually. That's not a plot. That's like a prelude to a plot. Instead, we got, you know, this mess. What a time. Well, I at least can say that I read it. People can say, did you know that Kendall and Kylie Jenner wrote a book? And I can say, yes, I can tell you about it. Nothing happens and it's very dumb. The end. It's another bad dystopian book, but I've read bad dystopian books before. So even in doing like this particular nothingness, it's not even new at its nothingness. Like I have read bad dystopian nothingness before. You didn't even succeed at being the most mediocre. But I think the worst dystopian that I've read absolutely goes to this one. It's so bad. It's like hilariously bad. Still a 1-star, but it's so fucking funny in how bad it is. They're all pretty short. If you put them all together, it probably forms like, you know, 500 pages or so, I guess. I don't remember. They're all pretty bad. I never actually finished the last one. That didn't come out until after I had finished all the newer ones, but oh my gosh, they're so stupid and so many typos. Like they're so badly done. So when I think of like bad dystopian books, that's the worst of the worst. But then there's also like, I rate Christian dystopias. I like think of them a little bit differently because they're like, they'll be fine on a line level, but they'll have no plot that makes any sense. And it's a bunch of like nonsense proselytizing. So I read 2 of those last year. Hilariously bad, a little bit harmful, some misinformation about abortion and other stuff, obviously 1 stars. But this is probably like, I'll just give it a 1. I gave it a 1 on Goodreads. So I don't know if you like asked me, all right, look at all the dystopians you ever read and rate them. Like this is like stupid, but at least it's not harmful like the Christian ones. It's still a 1 either way. So thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far, leave a sword emoji for Livia's zinger and let me know what bad dystopian book you think I should read next. I do want to read some more this year, specifically Christian ones. Those are so fucking weird and hilarious. Anyway, thanks for watching. Comment some questions down below. Or leave your, you know, whatever is your least favorite dystopian book. Okay, see you next time. Bye.
Those are cute jeans.
You're cute jeans.
Those are mine?
No.
Oh, I thought you said you're cute jeans.
I did.
Those are my jeans?
No.
Then why did you say?
You are cute jeans.
Those are cute jeans.
You're cute jeans.
Those are mine?
No.
Oh, I thought you said you're cute jeans.
I did.
Those are my jeans?
No.
Then why did you say?
You are cute jeans.
And before I go, I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Therapy Bills patrons, and those are Alexander, Andy Mason, Ashley H, Astra, Barry B, Call Me Kodiak, Choco's Homesick for Taiwan, DJ Rocktopus, Ellie, Emerald Dodge, Eric D, Jade L, John E, K, Kaleno K, Katie Ann, Quinn, Lady Kittybug, Lady Chips, Lemon Jelly. Y'all put food in your name, and I'm always doing this at lunchtime and I always get hungry. Lex, Other Lex, Lily, Mataraptor, Megwin Rose, Melissa, Minby, Mixer Boneless, Alice, Peggy Lou, Rain, Reese, SJ, Scarlett, Samar, SMK, Spoopy, Steph B, 3 raccoons in a trench coat, Tori, Urchin Audrey, White Raven 13, and Zorvictia. Thank you all so much for being here and for being a friend. And last but not least, I also have to say a big thank you to my Potato Search Marxist patrons, and those are Adrian, Aaron, Alejandra, Alicia's Last Frayed Nerve, Althea, Amanda D, Angelica, Artie the Ninth, Ava, Bari the Witch, Beck, Blythe Lavender, Bookish by Jenna, Bookish Rabbit, Bree, Bridget G. Collins, Kate B, Caitlin, Carlin, Carly, Casper, Kate, Kathy, Celeste, Claire Online, Cole, Colleen, Corwin, Courtney, Darius, Danielle, Danita, Darren, Desiree Michelle, DILF Enthusiast, Silco Apologist Era. Good shit. Dorian, Dorothea supports public education. Hell yeah. Draco-chan, Drive-By Thinker, Ebby, Emily A, Emma, Aaron with 2 E's, Aaron Starlight, Fiona, Gadarn, Halia Artisan, Hannah C, Helen, Harising, JM Tennant, Jay is on Olympus, Jelly V, Jen Michelle, Genderqueer, Jenny G, Jessa Sue, Jill, Jojo Bookish, Juicy Wizard, Kai Brecker has not read 6 of Crows, Caitlin, Catherine, Katie L, Katrina, Kaylee, Kayala, Kendra, KMTV, Kayana, Laughing Cat Dog, Laura is Angry, Lauren G, Lazarus Ray, Lindsay M, Lisa B, Lisa L, LP, Lou Siri, Lustful Octopus, Martin, Macy Jane, Maddie, Madison, Man-Eating Plant, Mary, Megan, Malara, May, Morgan, Myth Lesbian, Never, Nicole G, Nicole R, Paige P, Paul, Penelope, Penny Shilling, Foxglove, Plague Carrier, Queen Cereal, Rachel B, Reba, Rebecca, Rebecca R, Rhea, Ronnie, Rosie Thorns, Sikoria, Saintbringer, Sakyalume, Sarah H, Sarah the Bear, Shamed, Shannon, Sheen Onion, Sean, Sophie, Stardust, T Delegati, Talia, That Nerdy Mystic, That One Cute Chick, This Is Not a Trap, Tiana, Too Thick to Work Today. Oh my gosh, I forget how unhinged it gets at the end. Triple M, Tito Phoenix, Unicorn Jenny, Waves, Wobbs, Writer A, and last but not least, Zayden's award-winning Eggplant. Thank you all so much for being here and for being a friend.